So when we talk about the question, who is the original man, we're talking about the man that came with the earth. Right? When we look at the earth, in the earth, we see the word humus. Humus is that which life is able to spring forth from. In the Quran, Allah says that he took man and molded him from black mud, fashioned into shape. In the Bible, it said that God took the dust from the earth and made man and then breathed into the man, and man became a living soul. So both the Bible and the Holy Quran are bearing witness that the man was created from the earth. And that man is God, because it said, the Quran said that Allah put in man his inspiration, that which was in himself. The Bible said, breathe into his nostril, and man became a living soul. So the question becomes, if Allah put his inspiration in the man, and in the Bible it said that he breathed into man, man became a living soul, what was that essence that was put in man? And when Allah put the essence of himself in man, what did that make the man? So we're back at the question, who is the original man? When we look at the word original, according to Mr. Webster, original is the source or cause from which something arises. That from which a copy, reproduction, or translation is made. A work composed firsthand. A person of fresh initiative or inventive capacity, or a unique or eccentric person. Now, the whole idea of this lecture is to get you to examine the teachings of the Honorable Jihad Muhammad as it relates to this question on not just a physical level, but on a mental or spiritual level. In the next 35 or 40 minutes, we're going to talk about chemistry, biology, sociology, psychology, history. Right? We're going to go on that journey. And I said we're going to talk about all these different subjects. Why? Because just like when you study Islam, we said that Islam is a complete way of life. In Islam, we don't compartmentalize things. The body is made up into many systems, but it's the body. You can't deal with the heart without dealing with every other part of the body, because we know it's the heart that pumps blood through the body, right? The mind, the brain, causes all the organs in the body to work. So everything is interconnected. So that when we deal with one piece of knowledge or one subject, it should lead us into another higher realm of knowledge. Those of you all who have been through treatment, drug treatment programs, those of you all who have worked in the counseling field, you know that you start studying addiction in people, but when you study addiction, it takes you through sociology to understand the social ramifications that's connected to addiction. It takes you to through biology to understand how certain chemicals affect the body, pharmacology, how the drugs play on the mind, the chemicals that from the outside, the drug coming into the inside, meet with the chemicals on the outside, and we're taught in 3rd grade that when you mix one chemical with another chemical, you come with a chemical compound, thereby producing a 3rd different chemical, right? So all of these subjects are interconnected. Right. When you start to study one thing, it should lead you into something different, right? Even if you specialize in one thing, it should always lead you to get knowledge that's on a whole nother level, right? So we're going to talk about biology, chemistry, sociology, the whole nine, as it relates to this question, who is the original man? Now, when we think about the original man or the first man, there are 4 things that comes in mind. The Bible talks about Adam, that Adam, the first man that was created from the dust of the earth, right? is original man. He is the first one. We know that a God or Allah created a man, and he created one, that man had to have a certain hue or a certain color. Then, when you look at the Bible, they also talk about another Adam, which we found out, and if you study old dictionaries, this is what we call the pre-Adamites. There was an Adam, but there was a man that was created before Adam. How do we know that? In the Bible, it said that Adam and Eve were created. They had children, Cain and Abel. Cain slew Abel, killed him. And then when God caught up with him and checked him, he said, Cain said that when I leave, said everyone who looked after me will seek to slay me. And I'm paraphrasing this. How can somebody slay you if you ain't nobody there but your mother and your father? And it said that he went into the land of Nod and found a wife. Now this was the only man and woman, and they had 2 children. Then how was Cain able to go to the land of Nod and find a wife? He was able to go and find a wife because that was not the original man that was created from the dust of the earth. Right? This was the man that was created from the original man. That's why if you go in Australia, you deal with the black people who have been marginalized and ostracized and suppressed and oppressed. You ask, where are the Aborigines? Aboriginal means that which is first, that which is from the original. Right? So they send you to the Aborigines because they're sending you to the black people. Right? So then we have, in both the Bible and the Quran, they say Jesus. He is called Adam. But he is called the second Adam. Why? Because they said he's created from a quickening spirit. Right? And if you go and study the Holy Quran, it talks about it, but it talks about it in a different way. It said that the man is created what? In the best mode. If you study the Arabic, it means that the man is created self-correcting, meaning that he's created to correct himself. Now the question becomes, if the human being was created self-correcting, then he was created in a manner that was not 100% correct. I'm going to prove my point. Come on. So there is something to the Christian saying that the man has a sinful nature. He was created in sin and shaped in iniquity. There's wisdom in that. A lot of us as Muslims, we believe that the human being is created when he comes out of the womb, that he's perfect. It's not true. So I wish I had some of the Islamic scholars here today, because I want to take them on a journey so that they will understand what happened to us, to the original man who had a dark hue, and what did Yaqub do to bring this man out, and why? Come on. Was he brought out so we could look at folks and make fun of them and talk about them and this and no. He was brought out for a totally different spiritual and scientific reason. So, then you have us. Those of us who accept Islam and begin to practice Islam, we are destined to become the original man once again. When you go down in your prayers, all of us just prayed and made a prostration or sajda. When you go down in that position, you're going into the original position that you was in when you were in your mother's womb. When you was humble. It's a reason for that. The Honorable Jihad Muhammad said for every physical reality, there is a spiritual reality. So that if we look at something on a spiritual level, we should always look not at it, but look into it to see its spiritual counterpart. Because it's only the spiritual that will allow us to become a reflection of God.
Come on now.
So that you dealing with Yaakov and his history and his made or drafted man on the physical surface level, that physical surface level of dealing with him will never allow you to rise above your condition and become a reflection of God yourself.